Have you ever wanted to go on a hike and have a deep, meaningful conversation at the same time? Well, join me as we go on a journey through nature, asking questions and examining life along the way. I'm calling it Hiking with Socrates because we'll be channeling the spirit of the great Greek philosopher by using his method of inquiry as our guide. As we meander through meadows, pause by a babbling brook, and trek up to breathtaking vistas, we'll engage with the environment around us through thoughtful dialogue and debate. At times, we'll have more questions than answers. But that's the point. The goal is not to reach definitive conclusions, but to open our minds to new ways of thinking about ourselves, nature, and our place in the cosmos. So lace up your boots, grab your water bottle and hiking poles, and get ready to go with the flow as we embark on an intellectual hike for the ages. Our journey begins as we set foot on the trail. Take a deep breath of the fresh, pine-scented air, feel the warm sun and cool breeze on your skin. With your senses awakened, you're ready to start asking questions. What do you hope we'll discover on our hike today? What mysteries about the natural world are you seeking to unveil? I can't wait to find out. As we walk along the dirt path surrounded by towering trees, I'm struck by a simple but profound question. What is nature? Seems straightforward, right? The woods, the animals, the land? But as I ponder it more deeply, I realize it's not so simple to define. For example, are humans part of nature or separate from it? We're animals after all, but we've also cultivated the ability to manipulate our environment in complex ways separate from other species. Are the clothes you're wearing right now natural? What about the trail beneath our feet? Trying to determine where the human-made world ends and nature begins gets muddy quickly, but it's an important question if we want to understand our relationship with the natural world. What do you think? Are humans intrinsically part of nature or distinct from it? I'd love to hear your perspective. Oh wow, check out these gorgeous wildflower meadows stretched out before us. An explosion of vibrant colours, purple lupine, golden poppies, red Indian paintbrush, swaying gently in the breeze. It's absolutely stunning. Being surrounded by such beauty inspires some philosophical questions. What is it exactly that makes something aesthetically pleasing like this meadow? Is beauty purely subjective, differing for each person, or are there universal qualities that define beauty? I'm inclined to think it's a mix of both personal taste and common features like symmetry, colour, vibrancy, etc. But it's a fascinating thing to ponder. What are your thoughts on what makes something beautiful? As we continue our journey through this floral paradise, I'm struck by the diversity and interdependence of all these flowers and plants. Each one contributes to the ecosystem in its own unique way. It reminds me of human communities. We each have our own gifts and talents to offer. And like these flowers thriving together in the meadow, we are at our best when we cultivate compassion for each another. Don't you agree? I think there's a lesson here about valuing diversity and working collectively, like in nature. What insights does this meadow evoke for you about community and connection? I'd love to hear your perspective. Whoa, hold up a minute. We've stumbled upon a black bear just off the trail foraging for food. Inspiring, but let's give her space. Witnessing wildlife like this always makes me reflect on humanity's place in the animal kingdom. On the one hand, we're biologically similar to other animals, but on the other hand, our capacity for language, reason, and technology seems unmatched. If aliens visited Earth, would they classify us together with other earthly creatures or place us in a separate category altogether? What do you think defines and separates humans from other animals? It's such a fun question to ponder as we observe nature's majesty all around us. As we stop for some trail mix and water, I'm curious to hear your perspective on another nature-inspired philosophical question. Since the natural world operates according to its own principles apart from human affairs, is there such a thing as right and wrong in nature? For example, is that bear good or evil for foraging food to sustain itself, even if it means destroying plants in the process? Are concepts like morality and ethics strictly human constructs, or do they stem from something deeper that applies to all living things? Personally, I wrestle with this, seeing valid arguments on both sides. Would love to hear where you stand on whether notions of right and wrong extend beyond humanity. There are no right or wrong answers, of course, just opportunities for thoughtful dialogue. Watch your footing. We're coming up on some rocky terrain. Feel that subtle burn in your legs? That's your inner philosopher rising to the challenge, eagerly bounding up the trail to new intellectual heights. From up here, the expanse of mountains stretching to the horizon is simply stunning. Seeing such grand natural beauty always makes me feel a sense of awe and humility. It reminds me how small we are relative to the vastness of the cosmos. Speaking of which, here's another philosophical brain teaser for you. Do humans have free will, or are our actions determined by forces outside our control? Like physics, for instance. Are we just particles bouncing around the universe completely bound by the laws of cause and effect? Or does our unique capacity for conscious thought give us free will? I go back and forth on this one. Sometimes I think physics determines everything. Other times my experience of making choices feels so real that I must have free will. What's your take on this age-old question? Do we have free will or not? I'd love to pick your brain as we pick our way across this rocky ridge. The bighorn sheep, navigating the cliffs below, seem to be taking the trail in stride. We humans with our higher cognitive abilities have the luxury of getting tripped up intellectually as we analyze questions of free will, consciousness and choice. But the sheep just keep moving one foot in front of the other. Their life is much simpler, operating on instinct rather than complex reasoning. Makes me wonder if ignorance really is bliss sometimes. Oh no, storm clouds are brewing. We better take shelter in that cave up ahead. Watch your step as you enter this dark cavern. Feel the temperature instantly drop as we leave the heat of the day behind. Isn't it crazy how quickly the weather can change in the mountains? Mother Nature sure keeps us on our toes. While we wait out this storm, I have another nature-themed philosophical prompt for you. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? What do you think? On the one hand, sound requires a listener, suggesting no. But on the other hand, the tree would still vibrate the air, even if undetected, so maybe yes. I go back and forth on this thought experiment. Whether a falling tree makes a sound seems to hinge on how one defines sound itself. What's your take? I'm also curious to hear your perspective on how ideas like sound, color, love and other concepts rely on human thought and language to give them meaning. Some philosophers argue that nothing objectively exists until the human mind labels it into being through consciousness and words. Like this cave we're sitting in right now. Is it inherently a cave or only becomes one once we conceptualize and call it one? Any thoughts on that notion? To me, it's another question without a clear answer, but fun to contemplate as we take shelter from the storm. The rain has stopped, and a dazzling rainbow has emerged on the horizon. Let's continue our hike while keeping an eye out for that elusive pot of gold at the end. As we walk, seeing that vibrant rainbow makes me wonder, does color exist outside our perception, or is it just an illusion created in the mind? Light wavelengths are real, of course, but the experience of color feels constructed by our brains and eyes. I think that's why different languages have slightly different words for colors. It shows they are conceptual, not objective truths. What do you think? Do colors really exist, or are they tricks of the mind? Seeing this rainbow sparkle so clearly makes me feel they exist. But from a philosophical perspective, I recognize it's debatable. Curious to hear your take as we traverse this colorful landscape. Here's another fun question that nature has sparked. Are numbers and mathematics invented or discovered? When we identify a flower with 5 petals or see 2 birds sitting on a branch, are we inventing the concepts of 5 and 2 by naming them? Or do numbers, sequences, and formulas inherently exist outside of perception, underlying the natural world in some deeper way? I go back and forth on this one too. Sometimes numbers feel real beyond human invention. Other times they seem like a language we create to understand reality. What's your perspective? Do numbers objectively exist or not? Let's crunch on this concept intellectually like gravel beneath our boots, as we enjoy these stunning mountain views. Be careful, we're approaching a rushing river swollen with snowmelt. These currents look intense, but I think we can cross safely together by wading slowly and using our hiking poles for balance. I'll go first and offer you my hand to help navigate any slippery rocks. Here we go, bit by bit taking it slow. Feel the icy water swirling around your calves, threatening to knock you over. But with focused awareness and step-by-step intention, we'll make it. Phew, we made it across. Wasn't that an invigorating experience? Facing the unknown, moving through fear, and working together to overcome. Our little river crossing reminds me of the bigger journey of life. None of us really know where we're going or what challenges we'll face. But if we stay present and face each moment with courage, we can handle anything, even the deepest waters. Speaking of life's big mysteries, here's another philosophical question for you as we approach our final summit. Do you think there's a greater purpose or meaning to existence? Or is life just a random occurrence without any underlying significance? And either way, does the answer impact how we should live? For me, recognizing life's fragility and brevity motivates me to appreciate each moment, foster community, and leave the world a little better than I found it. But I'm curious to hear your perspective. What do you think? Is there some larger meaning to it all? Or are we tiny specks in a vast cosmos with no inherent purpose beyond survival and reproduction? Feel free to share your truth as we support each other up this final hill. We made it to the summit. Take it all in. The rolling hillside stretching to the horizon, the river carving its path, the vibrant meadow below. Just look how far we've come, both physically and philosophically. Our cups truly runneth over with inspiration and insight. I don't know about you, but I feel profoundly grateful for this opportunity to discover new intellectual trails while immersed in nature's wonder. You really contributed to this being such a thoughtful hike, full of exploration and meaning. Thank you for joining me. I hope our time together left you with new perspectives, deeper questions, and inspiration to keep exploring life's mysteries wherever your path leads next. The journey continues, my friend. Onward and upward. But for now, let's sit and soak in this view. Simply breathe it all in, and as the sun begins to set, keep nurturing that inner light sparked through our philosophical journey. Until next time,